Welcome back to the DR Speed YouTube channel, guys. Sorry it's been a while, but it's not really had anything exciting going on. So today we're going to be replacing the torque converter in my wife's LS swap Suburban. As you guys seen in a few videos back, it was running good, and then I drove it to work one day and the torque converter welded itself together. Super exciting. It's like driving a manual with no clutch pedal. So we've remedied that situation hopefully by getting a amazing Circle D converter. It's a billet front. You can see it's got dual pattern on there. It's like 2400 RPM stall. They recommended a little higher, but this is mostly just a daily driver type, so we didn't want it to be too extreme. I've had that converter in another vehicle with a bigger cam and it was fine. We'll find out. If I'm wrong, dang. But they always send bolts and stickers and a koozie and pen and a thank you letter. And this is the Suburban. You guys have seen it on our review video. It's got a semi-built 5.3. It's got Summit Racing forged pistons, Gen 4 rods, Texas Speed heads, valve covers, and LSA blower. I built this motor myself, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, probably 6. Right here in the garage. Of course, I had it all machined by a local guy. He does really good on the balancing and machining. I like to assemble all my own stuff, so I put it together and it hasn't blown up yet. But it's been in there in this configuration probably 6,000 miles. It's got the 4L60E we bought with the engine when we did the initial swap. I don't know, 12,000 miles ago, 10 years, not even. But surprisingly, it's been really good. No complaints. It hasn't leaked a drop. It hasn't done anything weird until now. So let's hope this converter will fix it and we can move on with other projects. Shop's a little bit different looking now. It's a buddy's truck I bought from him. Of course, I had to get a lift because I can't park it outside because it's a really nice truck. We'll go over that in a while. We'll talk about that later. But let's get this converter changed. Here we go, the underneath, the old beast. Got some giant brakes, 14-inch rotors in the front. They're off like a C5 AZ Pro Performance kit, C5 Vet. The amazing stance is from the cut springs. Both sides, you know, nice braided lines on the brakes. And then the underside. That's the second version of this exhaust. First one had a way worse merge. That one's still not great, but you know, it is what it is. Might redo it one day. Wife kind of complains about it a lot because it doesn't sound the greatest sometimes, but there she is. Put a locally built drive shaft in here. Hopefully, you know, hadn't had problems yet. At the back, stock suspension, removed some leaves, only got 3 left. Cal tracks, and 13-inch brakes in the back. Parking brake, everything works really good. 10 bolt, haven't broke yet, don't know how. It's got a True Track, Detroit True Track in there with the factory 200,000 mile 342 gears and Mosier axles. Still C-clip, but we don't get too sporty with it. It usually just spins if it does. Exhaust goes all the way to the back. But got a trans cooler we got from AZ Pro Performance. It still goes through the radiator, but that one's got some little fans on it. Helps. port for my wideband O2 sensor when we were tuning it. And there's the, infamous 4L60 that'll never work. We'll find out, I guess, if it's permanently broke or just a little broke. But drove it to work and had to get towed home because it wouldn't unlock. But broke it free while waiting on the tow truck, and then drove it in the garage. After we were done, Detroit Steel or Mob Steel 20-inch Delray wheels. I don't really remember what their brand is, but it's one of those two. Love them, other than they're super thick. They're like a 1/4 inch thick. They're really heavy, but they look really good. But let's start working on getting the transmission out. All right, here we are. We're gonna do this a little bit unconventional. I'm gonna try to just slide it back and then bring her back, put the converter in, put it back forward. I'm not gonna try to not remove it. We'll see how that goes. But if I have to remove it, this whole exhaust is gonna get cut off, basically, because I've not made it removable that easy. I've had it out before, but I'd rather not. So let's get started. We're gonna remove the cooler lines, dipstick, maybe the dipstick, I don't know, I guess. The shifter, drive shaft. That's enough talking. Better get to work. Also really going to be risking it by not removing the drive shaft. Hopefully I can just scooch it back with everything else. Did it before, not on a Suburban though, so we'll see. I got to take these transmission bolts out, cross member, and they are firmly on the lift. We'll think about that for a minute. Continue on. Ow. Yeah, that lift I just did. Removing the O2 sensors from both sides. Holly only uses one, so I removed the dummy hole filling one. And this one. Shifter cotter pin, don't lose that. Seems important. Super hard to find, and really surprised it still has it. A little plastic bushing that goes in a shift rod. Starter comes out next. Always disconnect the battery when you're working on your starter. Any vehicle part, really. Safety. Hate to damage your tools, when you weld them to something. Well, now. I like to break them free with a hand ratchet, so I don't strip the head out. One of these Loctite. Last one's making me question my life choices. I got it, don't worry. Converter's unbolted. I slid it back. Well, Amber finally showed up now that we're working on her vehicle. Now, 5 minutes and it's gonna leave probably. Bottom two bell housing bolts. There and there.
Is it gonna leak on?
You have to break them loose like a ratchet first.
Why can't you lower it down?
Oh yeah, you got it.
Come all the way
Yeah.
up.
Someone got that in there.
It's a sound.
Hoping not to have to drain the transmission fluid again, but I don't see that working out. I'm just gonna make a possible mess right now. Always do the final pan torque by hand. They will rip right out if you're not careful. Snug. Take that off so it doesn't hit in the face. Alright, now we got the fluid drained. We can probably take the dipstick out and get soaked still somehow. Oh yeah. Okay. Getting wild. I got it. Do not worry. Professionals at work somewhere. Sometimes you gotta get creative with your extensions. Floppy. Install your engine stand. Time to do some sketchy stuff. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Not recommended at home. Let's just put that out there. You want to put that right where you can't operate it real smoothly. For harder to use. That's secure. Probably. We'll find out soon, you know. Can't be worried our whole life. Get the pry stick out. Now the real sketchy bit is getting the transmission up over these bolts in the back. You know, that was not a good idea. Seems like it's going to be a pain. Let's get a pry bar up. Yeah, it's self-ejecting, don't worry. Let me just show you what we got. All the lay of the land here. We got the engine supported by that one, I hope. We got this contraption here, kind of supporting the front of the transmission. Cross members on the back. The drive shaft's got that one. I'm just gonna try to, you know, ease it back just far enough so it doesn't get, you know, tangled up in there. Engine doesn't fall out, you know. Wish me luck. All right, guys, we've probably got it somewhat going on, you know. I don't know, kind of scared, but we're gonna go anyway. It's loose, so that's good, right? That's a start. Oh. Okay. Questioning my life choices at this moment. Yeah, almost. It's close. Figure if I can get the new one up in there, I might be able to get the old one out. I don't know if that's how things work. Seven inches. We're gonna find out right now, guys, how much of an idiot I am. Might be severe, who knows? Severe idiot. It's not enough. We're in a pickle now. Oh no. I got it. I got it. I didn't die. Guys, we haven't died yet. I got it out, as you've seen, on the floor. You know, there's some mess, and I think it's on me, but you know, here we are, inside. Yeah, all looks okay. So we'll see how it goes getting the new one in. That was a little situation. You seen I had to like maneuver it weird, but it's out. So that's a start. You always want to put a little bit of fluid in your converter before you install it. Let's see if I can do this without making just a huge mess. Let her her sink in for a minute. Just don't want it dry. You ain't gotta fill it all the way. It's not dry. We're gonna call that good. I'm gonna try to finagle this thing up in there. Got it in there in one click. You hear all three of them? Got to go in there at least 3 times. There's 3 things that need to line up on. Alright guys, got it in there. You can see the billet goodness with the dual bolt holes and everything. There's their number if you need it. This is not a sponsored video, sadly. I had to pay full price and wait a while for it, but they let me know up front, so it wasn't a big deal. So you see me measure with a tape measure. You want to measure from the bell housing to this flange and make sure it's in more than this flywheel to the back of the bell housing. This was like 1 1/8 or so. This was about 1 inch. So we know there's gonna be a little bit of clearance. And we heard all 3 clicks when I put the pump in, and it's fully seated in there, nice and deep. So we know it's not gonna break the pump when we put it back together. The converter should spin freely. I'm gonna put a little lube on the snout of that, and then try not to die while putting it back together. You know, it's looking like a super professional arrangement here with the 4 zip ratchet straps. All right, we're just gonna reverse it and put the ratchet strap on the front and kind of ease it forward, making sure we're not, you know, ripping the back mount off or screwing anything up. Let's go. So, you know, don't take my advice on all the ways I do things, but, you know, as we see, it's working. See, let me flip you around. You see, we gotta lift this cross member up and get it up over that bolt, which goes, the one that you can see goes in the back hole on both sides. So we gotta kind of lift it up over that. You know, we still got the safety strap on, still got the front strap, this strap, that strap. We're pretty much fully strapped here. Just be careful, you know, make sure the converter don't slide out. Whatever you gotta do. You know, not everyone's got all the fancy tools like transmission jack and all this crap. You can do it on the floor, but I have a lift, so I'm gonna do it like this. I don't have a transmission jack, so I can't use that. Put that lube on I was talking about. Just a little bit of anti-seize to help it go in the hole better. You don't want to step ow, and fall like that. You know, someone could have said something. I was going to hit the wheel. We're on the dowel on that side, on the dowel on that side. Not close enough yet. I don't want to pull it in with the bolt, just trying to see if I could put one in for safety, you know. Maybe I can get a safety bolt in up here. Oh yeah. Just trying to get this ratchet strap off because I feel like this green one is holding me up from success. Once again, we're not going to pull it in with the bolts. That's unsafe. Sure, you don't have nothing tied up in the bell housing. It can cause a tangle or something. Get some wires damaged, have to rewire the whole thing, you know. Bad time. Still spin. Need to get the engine up a bit. Or the back down would be the same. See if we can't work on that. Little tappy tap. See if we run it closer, the lower the back, the same as raising the front. And it looks way better. Converter still spins. It's looking really good. Looks good. Let me show you. It's, you know, installed itself, I'd say. Just gonna tighten one up, you know, snug it. It's already basically touching. Take the other ratchet strap off because we got some bolts in now. The engine shouldn't fall out. Yeah, we're good. All right. So we got bolts, you know, in the back ones again. Don't have anything in the bell housing up there. Looks all pretty good. Don't see no crushed wires. Hard to see around that wire, but it's, you can see the wire, it's not crushed. And the transmission is all the way on. Got more safety bolts up there. Converter still spins. You can see there is a gap still in there. That's what we need to try to get to 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. And that is what they send this stuff for. They send some thin washers. Hold on. Some thin washers and thick washers. And some nice new bolts. So we're gonna measure. Easiest way to measure is with the drill bit. Like a 3/16 drill bit, obviously gonna be 3/16 of an inch. 1/8 inch drill bit's gonna be 1/8 inch. So I put it up in that hole. All right, up in that hole is the only place you're gonna be able to actually get to it. You can see we got, you know, the drill bit fits. I need a third hand. So you gotta make sure the converter's all the way back or you're just wasting your time. So the converter's all the way back. and this 3/16 drill bit fits. So we're gonna need a washer at least between there. So let's try to get those in. It is a royal pain in the butt. It is a pain in the butt to get those washers in there. You gotta like put them on the end of a magnet and like put them through the bell housing up to where the starter is and try to capture it with the bolt and the converter. So I mean, it's not a good time, but pulling it back out and replacing transmission because you broke it is also a worse time. So just make sure and do it right the first time, you know, kind of like we're doing, and then you'll be done. You don't have to do it once. Let me get the bell housing bolts in because that's important to have all those in and tight to get the gap just perfect. So we'll put those in, and then I'll see if I can show you how I put those washers in there, if it needs it or not. But let's get it tight and, you know, see if it still needs it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I like to use blue Loctite on fasteners like transmission, torque converter, stuff that's, you know, critical it doesn't fall out and see some vibration. You don't need like 2 pounds of it, just a drop. Gotta get my long flexi extension back out for the top one. Well, it's shaped just like the transmission, basically. Get the torque wrench out. Just kidding. Not really. And I got ATF on me. Clean again. Recheck our gap here. You know, the micrometer looks a little wide still. Precision measuring device says we are about a thick washer away. Found this out on the last one I did on my big 4-wheel drive Suburban you guys have seen, possibly. If not, go watch the video. Put on a magnet, you know, and then just put it in the small hole here, and then you can just, you know, creep it up in there. We need to move our flashlight around, make sure we can see in the hole first. Converter lined up with the bolt hole. Start the converter, bolt. I screwed around with this for hours once. I was not having a good time. And then I figured this out, and life changed. Then you start the bolt. You know, I'm not going to pull it forward. I'm going to push it all the way back, and I'm going to rotate it so I can try to get you guys in here and see what I'm working with. You know, magnet on a stick. You can get these from your tool truck. You can like wad them up in any shape you want, and they don't break. I don't know what they're made out of. You know, plastic, metal, rubber stuff, but they're amazing. Okay, we'll get this set up so everyone can see. You know, the whole class, really. Alright. Then make sure it's all the way back. Get the flex plate to stop ringing. we'll get you in here to see. All right, now you can kind of see up in there that the bolt is in there, the washer is in there, and I cannot put this 3/16 strobit in. So we know the gap is less than 3/16, so let's try the 1/8 inch. It goes in. You know, there's some wiggle room. So it's somewhere between 1/8 and 3/16, which is exactly where you want it. So now we can kind of just wiggle it around and get all the other two in, get them Loctited and torqued up, and then just reassemble everything. But that converter spacing is important, making sure that it moves in there when you get the transmission belt bolted up is also critical. Do not move on if you cannot spin the transmission. You have got something bound up and probably already broken, but let's figure it out before we move on. So here I go. I'm gonna go put the rest of the other bolts in. See, once you get the process down, it takes just a minute. All right, all figured tight. Now we just put everything back on that we took off. That one's looking a little rough, you know. Just a little rough. This one looks a little bit better. Take this off the crankshaft before we forget and swing it through the radiator. Now the hand lines, you don't have to get them really tight. Just want them like snug. Pretty snug. You know, they're aluminum. So if you go bearing down on them, it's probably gonna break. All right, guys, I think we're all done. Double check we ain't got nothing messed up. Starter is on there, wires are on there. All the transmission stuff is in. Lines are on, you know. Everything's tidied up. Shifter's on, clips on, O2 sensor, bell housing bolt, drive shaft's in and tight. U-joint straps are in tight. Maybe give this thing a quick grease job and then we'll put her down and put some fluid in it. Well, lower it down and put some fluid in it, and I guess we'll be on our way. Just gonna put a gallon in and then start it and see what it says. It's about how much it took when I took the pan off to check the transmission. A couple weeks ago, it was about a gallon. I use Valvoline Max Life. You know, maximum life out of a 4L60 is always a good thing to shoot for. Hook up the battery. Make sure nothing cool happens. Knocked you all over. Sorry. All right. Everything is in, ready to go. See if we got any leaks downstairs. Put a gallon in. Don't have a gallon on the ground. That's a zip tie, apparently. So we'll give this thing a start, or an attempted start. The battery was kind of getting low because it sat for a good while with the bad converter, so we'll see what happens. All right. Hear the fuel pressure regulator screaming. 10 volts, we'll see. Nope. Close. All right, guys, let's give it a start. Charged the battery yesterday. Let's see how it drives. Everything seems to be going good so far. Put some miles on it and we'll see how it does. Well, guys, I just test drove it a bunch, changed some of the shift parameters. The converter is a little bit different than the factory one, so needed to change some of the shift speeds. But the lockup works, it unlocks, so far I think it's fixed. So back to being on the up list of the fleet, I guess. Wife can now drive it whenever she wants again, until we finish off the 4L60. Don't have any leaks, fluid's all good. I'm happy with the way it's shifting, and torque converter's locking up and unlocking like it's supposed to. It's not, you know, staying locked, coming to a stop, but there we are, back on the road. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I'm really proud. I don't know how long this video is, but it's taken quite a while to make. But I appreciate all you guys watching, and like and subscribe, I guess. It's free.